It's Pro Bowl week in the NFL. The NFL Playoff Challenge is about to see a huge shakeup. And tonight we will finalize some Fanatically Real Redraft and QB54 Arm and Leg League rules for 2021. All this and more in 20 seconds. Hey, fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real broadcast sponsored by Football Darts and Fantasy Sports Alliance. We are going to try to make this a rapid fire show for you tonight and get us in and out of here in less than an hour. So we're going to go right into our broadcast sponsor for the night, which is Football Darts. Football Darts is a dart game that combines the skill of traditional darts with the strategies of American football. This innovative dart game is played on a unique designed multiple target dartboard. It can be played in sports bars, at tailgate events, as league tournaments, or as a leisure activity in the comfort of your home. If you would like to check out their officially licensed collegiate dartboards, go to footballdarts.com. You can also now find them on Target, Wayfair, and Fanatics. Also want to bring up our brothers over at the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. They were back this week, minus Eric, but for a good reason. Congrats to the O'Neill family and the new baby boy brought into the world. Mom and baby are doing just fine. We're super excited for the whole family. Brad and Josh were back this week, though. They did a deep dive on quarterbacks from this past fantasy season. Make sure you go out and give their show a watch or a listen on all of the major platforms. And you can find them on all of the social media outlets at Empty Wagon FF. Each of them has their own Twitter handle, which is coming across the bottom of the screen here momentarily. There it is. You see it. If all else fails, you can always go out to fsa-fr.com and find out everything about the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast and Fantasy Sports Alliance. And beginning on 1 March, you'll be able to find their podcast under the Fantasy Sports Alliance account on all podcast streams. The guys are going to be taking a break this week, but we'll be back the following week on Friday going into Saturday, depending on where you're at in the country. So Friday going into Saturday at midnight, and they're going to be doing a deep dive on the running back position. If you like tonight's broadcast, make sure you follow us on all of our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and about 1 million of our podcast platforms. You can see all of our handles coming across the bottom of the screen right now. And I know Kevin is going to be able to tell us every platform that we're on in the podcast world. Kevin, why don't you give him the laundry list of where we're at?
We can be downloaded on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Play Store, Amazon Music, Stitcher. We are on iHeartRadio and anywhere else you find your podcast for listening pleasures.
Thank you for all the love that we got. Jason Potato out there said, who won the fantasy football championship? Ended up being the Chris Betts won the Redraft League this year. Of course, we had all of our various champions in all of our dynasty leagues, QB54. And then our also King of the Castles, we were doing a beta test in there. We finished the season with Ross Norris, the guy that actually helped co-create the what was that? Ross Norris, who actually co-create the King of the Castle League with us, ended up finishing up as our final king. And yeah, so great year this year. Jenna's on with us. Jenna, how are you? Christian on with us. KB, how are you? Josh wants to know where Average Josh is at. So Average Josh, why don't you ask yourself where you just were at? What did you say to me before? Never mind. Don't say what you had to do before we came live.
All I'm going to say is I went from one throne to the other. That's all I'm saying.
Were you ever on the throne?
Yes, I was.
Oh, okay. Damien says, let's just avoid all Tampa Bay talks tonight. Sean says, I almost cussed out loud seeing you in Tampa gear. Well, I mean, look at the hat, though, too. I mean, this is the Super Bowl matchup. Granted, it's the old Tampa Bay, and you can see it's Jameis Winston not there with the team anymore, but it's the only jersey I do have of them. So Ross says that I'm way more interesting at double speed. About to go to bed. I'm half dead. I know Jenna did have a rough morning this morning, according to all of the pictures that I saw of her. So Jenna, hi. Have a good night when you finally do reach the bed. And Maria on with us as well. Maria, how are you? So last night, your guys' show was on the air, yeah? And I got to have the privilege of being with you guys. It was a great show last night. Any highlights that you would like to put out there to make sure everybody goes back and watch your show from last night?
Can I just
don't know if
real quick? Can I just sum up our show in 2 words? Or I'm sorry, I'll do 4 words.
Okay.
Too much Tom Brady.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think there are a couple of people in this room right now that would agree with you. Other Jenna, how are you? Tell Taylor I said hi and I love him.
All I know is you used the word great to describe our show yesterday, which means that we are way overperforming. We're going to have to dial that back.
Dial it down. We need you to be just average.
We don't want to set the bar too high for ourselves. But we did go through round 3 of the 2020 FSA ADP on where players were taken last year. We played Price's Right version of where people were at and guessing higher or lower on where they're going. I believe that game may be continued again here tonight into round 4. We'll see.
We're going to do round 4 tonight, regardless of how rapid we get through this tonight, because there's really not a whole lot to talk about, right? So we're in Pro Week for the NFL, and Damian saying the ADP breakdown is on point. Damian, we appreciate it, and thank you for helping us with it by giving us the ADP rankings for everybody off of all of our 6 regions from the redraft last year. So it's Pro Bowl week for the NFL. So really it's kind of a bye week almost in the playoffs right now because it's a virtual Pro Bowl. I think they are doing a week-long celebration where they're doing some Madden competitions. And if you go out on social media, you'll see kind of what's happening in the Pro Bowl right now. Some fun things that are out there. I know Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown have been kind of going back and forth at each other, kind of giving little fun jabs at each other. So that's been fun if you get a chance to go out and look at that on social media. But all of this is leading up to the Super Bowl the following week, which is going to be between Tampa Bay and Kansas City Chiefs. We're not going to go a whole lot into it because I think we dove on it really, really hard last night. In addition to, I really don't want to mention TB again or anything to do with the TB, the team, or anything to do with any 12s or any half careers or last 5 seasons or any of that stuff tonight. We're out of that business for tonight. What we are going to talk about, though, is the playoff challenge and where we're at in that right now. Because if you were playing in our playoff challenge, which we have 56 users, you can see right here this year, the winner of this is going to get a free entry into the FSA Redraft League next year. I want to show some interesting stuff that we've got going on right now. So, and I'm not saying this to be funny again, although it is funny no matter when we say it. D's Nuts is still at the top. But I am going to open up his team right now and show you why D's Nuts will not be at the top after we finish the Super Bowl this year. So as you can see across this team, his ×3 multipliers relied on Buffalo, Green Bay, a lot of Buffalo. So the only players he's going to take into round 4 with him that are going to have multipliers on is going to be Leonard Fournette at a ×2 if he keeps him on his team, and then Travis Kelce at a ×4 if he keeps him on his team, right? So probably going to see a big fall off from there. And why do we say that? So of the 3 of us that are on the show tonight, Josh and I think, Kevin, I'm not sure where you're at position-wise, but I know Josh and I are at least on screen 1, and you are not there currently. We'll look at Josh's team first. He is sitting 11th at 523 points, 1 point ahead of me right now. But Josh, why don't you tell everybody what's going on with your team right now, getting ready to go into Super Bowl week?
So pretty much to sum up how last week went, I went with 100% my eggs in the basket of Buffalo. However, Buffalo was unable to pull out the win. So I am losing 5 players from Buffalo, 1 player from Aaron Jones who did absolutely nothing. And I'm only carrying over Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce with a ×4 multiplier. However, I don't think them alone are going to boost me up to number 1. So, I mean, I'll take top 10, to be fair. I'll take top 10.
I started looking across the guys that are in between me, between first and where I'm at in 13th, right? Because there's a tie there at 11th with you and whoever Blair005 is. I do have a few more multipliers than you guys do carrying over. I'm going to end up with a times 4 Patrick Mahomes. Oh, you guys see my lineup already. Let me go ahead and slide that up so I don't give anything away. I'm going to get a times 4 out of Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to get a times 4 out of Tyreek Hill, a times 4 at Travis Kelce, and a times 2 at Leonard Fournette. And I also have to replace Aaron Jones, Devonte Adams, Tyler Bass, and Green Bay Packers. So I have 4 replacements on my roster as well, right? So when I look at everybody between 1 and 13, it looks like I might have a chance of finishing the top 3, maybe top 4 if this is consistent, right? But here's why I think I'll fall even further than that. So let's go to screen 2. Number 22 overall, E.T. Spencer, Todd Spencer. This is the guy that won this contest last year. Now, Todd's sitting with 503 points right now, and I'd have to go back over at screen 1, which we want a second to see who or what the points are for the number 1 guy. Say again?
Well, I said, look, there I am. You found me. Oh, wait, no,
Oh,
that's
where
the
are
wrong one.
you?
Who did that?
Who
did that?
Eviler Empire?
That's
So
not,
you don't
that's
you
not
don't
me.
matter at all.
Guys,
Eviler Empire.
that's not me.
That's not. Oh, you know what? That's probably Bill. That's probably Coach Bill. Coach Bill is
Yeah, look at
bouncing around and picking people's teams'
Who did
names
that?
up. Yeah. Probably Coach Bill. If he's out there right now, he's probably laughing at us. But let's go to
Identity
Todd's.
theft is not a joke. Okay?
And here's why this is going to be a big deal. You could already see in round 1 as we're looking at his team.
So much red.
It's a lot of Kansas City and a lot of Tampa Bay, a lot of red, right? So we got a times 2. We got a times 3. There's absolutely no reason why he doesn't have a times 4 for his entire lineup for the Super Bowl.
And also, like, here, scroll up to his week 1.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say why it was at the time, it was probably one of the craziest things to do, but it was actually a smart thing to do because basically, let's just say you pick Rojo and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. With all the running backs that were in at round 1, you would have called him crazy for picking those 2 running backs.
Yeah. But the thing is you already know automatically if you're starting players that are going to be on the bye, which in this case was only Kansas City because Tampa Bay did play in the first round. He's only taken points out of the Tampa Bay players, but he's guaranteed the times 2 for anybody that was on bye. And in this case, we had Kansas City and Green Bay as our 2 bye round teams, right? Because we played 7 teams in from each conference this year, so there was a bye on each side instead of 2 like normal. So Todd did a great thing last year winning this. It looks like he has a very good chance of going around all of us this year from the 22nd spot. So what he said, he was at 503 and D's Nuts is at 561. So he's 58 points behind, easily able to jump over this group of people right here because of all of those times 4. So Todd, I'm not giving to you yet, but what I would like to say is you have definitely done your due diligence again this year. And I think you have a very good chance of winning it again in 2021 or 2020, so you can have another free entry into 2021. We're going to talk about some NFL news. We're going to talk about the new things for the 2021 season. We mentioned at the top of the show that we're going to talk about a few rule set changes for next year in the redraft in the QB54 Arm and Leg League. And then I got a few things around me that I would like to thank a few people for. And then we're going to get into round 4 of the ADP and see if we can't knock those out. So NFL news. You guys did a very good job last night of breaking down the NFL news. So, of course, on this show, we only cover down anything that happened from Tuesday to Wednesday. Big news came out on my drive home tonight. Tight end Jason Whitten is retiring from NFL after 17 years.
Again.
He intends to sign a one-day contract so he can retire as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. He can't do that until March when his contract expires with the Las Vegas Raiders. But again, he is retiring. Probably for good this time, I would think. 17 years is a very, very long time. But congratulations on a great career. We've talked a lot about Hall of Fame stuff, especially Kevin's messages on GroupMe today. Do we think Jason Witten is a first-time Hall of Fame ballot winner? Getter? Is he in his first opportunity?
No, I don't. I don't think first time in. I think eventually could be, but to me, I think uh, to me he was just a very sure tight end, right? Very good at blocking, very sure-handed, but never really stood out as a prominent player in his position. I think if guys like Greg Olson, who I believe just retired this year, would go in ahead of him. Jimmy Graham, when he is done, I would probably put in ahead of him, just for the what he's meant to those teams. So I would say no. Eventually, maybe, but first time, no.
Ross has a very good point here. Ross Norris says, did Whitten win any playoff games? My first question was, only 17 years playing for Dallas all of that time. They haven't been to a Super Bowl, right? So he has no Super Bowl appearances. What does the playoff record look like? Probably have to go back because it's been a long time since they've won a playoff game.
It was, I was going to say, the last time they've been to the playoffs was a couple years ago, but I remember they got knocked out in the first round.
Yeah.
I would say, if any, it's few.
Yeah, very interesting point, Ross. Does he? I mean, he's a name that you're never going to forget. He's going to be, thought about, talked about at that position for a long time to come, probably throughout history. Like you said, probably more than not, because he's a sure-handed, great tight end, and he did it with quite a few quarterbacks on the team as well. So, yeah, Hall of Fame, I don't know either. My gut wants to say yeah right away, but I think that's more name recognition than anything else. Yeah, and Damien says no catch games come to mind. Yeah, and you're right. It's a namesake thing, probably. When you're playing on America's team, quote unquote, it probably is easy to remember that. And that's all I got for NFL news. That's really the only thing that came out today. You guys got some stuff.
So I saw something where the Seahawks hired a new offensive coordinator. I'm trying to look on who it was. And then just two interesting things. One is, I know we talked about it last night, Matthew Stafford. They're looking to trade him. And already I just saw a third of the NFL teams have contacted about Matt Stafford. And then also Scotty Miller from Tampa Bay has posted or commented somewhere that apparently he thinks that he is faster than Tyreek Hill. I just think it's funny.
Let him have a race.
Well, yeah, Mahomes. So Mahomes saw it, made a comment on it, and he said that would be an interesting take.
Come on. Let Tyreek Hill humble that man, please. There's only, so far clocked in the NFL, whatever analytics that they had this year. I think there was only one player on one particular play that was clocked faster than Tyreek Hill ever. Yeah, that's never going to happen. Scotty Miller in your dreams. So the Seahawks are expected to hire Rams passing game coordinator. I didn't even know that was a thing. Apparently that's a position. Passing game coordinator Shane Waldron to become their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, so I saw Damien's comment, and right when he said it was like a Rams coach, I was like, okay, yeah, I remember who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pass game coordinator has been big. I know that the Eagles ran with that last year. The year before, the 49ers ran with that and went to, obviously, Super Bowl with it. It usually happens when you have an offensive-minded head coach who makes the final play call, and then you have a run game coordinator and a pass game coordinator instead of a offensive coordinator as a whole.
Sounds disgusting. That's too many hands in the fire.
As I say, yeah. So basically, you're splitting your offensive coordinator into two positions.
Yeah.
And usually it's more than that because each one of them are going to have assistants. Then you also have your running backs coach. I just found out that a tight ends coach is a thing.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier today.
I mean, if you're saying San Fran did it and it took them to the Super Bowl, I mean, it's got to be working a little bit for a team.
That position coach, a specific coach like that does not matter
for a team that was pretty much known for their running. I'm sorry, and they had Kittle.
Yeah.
Eric O'Neill out there with us. Papa O'Neill says, I hope Hill races him and smokes him for that nonsense. Exactly. Like, I mean, know your place. Why would you even do that? I mean, if you're going to do it, like, put some money on it for charity, or, as Josh Hughes likes to do, bet your hair on something like that. Like, if you're going to lose, shave your head, pie in the face, something that people care
There you
about.
go. Good old fashioned pie bet.
There you go. Eric, how is the baby doing? Let us know.
See, my thought is, and this is what I've always envisioned a true Pro Bowl and being a skills challenge is, I really don't care how fast you run, and I don't care how far you throw. I want to see the furthest completion. How far you run and catch the ball. That's what we care about. I don't care if, even if Scotty Miller is faster, is he sure-handed enough at that speed to catch a ball like Tyreek does? Probably not.
Eric says, Mom and baby are doing well. We appreciate giving us the update, man. Thank you. Congratulations again. All right, hey, let's get through these a few scoring changes that we're going to put it out now, right? So if we say here on the show, that's gospel, right? No changing after this. So I have been working on the rule set for the redraft league for next year. Worked on it for hours last weekend. In fact, I think a couple of things were hanging me up on it. I asked the group me chat group what we should do in these particular things for next year. Some of it was scheduling, some of it was playoffs. I had toyed around with the idea of, as teams get eliminated out of the 10-team big tournament, if we could drop them down into the Alliance Invitational Tournament, which we are going to bring back in 2021. The math wasn't working out of me dropping 2 teams down in there, because we are going to use the McIntyre Final 5 system, just like we used in the QB54 Arm and Leg League playoffs this year for our playoffs. My sister is a college level statistics professor, so I called her up. She is my super geek inside the family, to ask her, hey, how do we make this happen? And she talked wisdom into me, and she said, at some point, why would you have these teams that are in this playoff bracket join this other playoff bracket? Because now what you're doing is devaluing what they did all year by having the top 10 go into a group of people that are basically playing for the 21st best team in all of the Alliance for the year. And that was enough that she needed to say to me, and I squashed that idea, not happening anymore, right? So what we have in our playoff bracket, what we have in our Alliance Invitational Tournament, what we have in our bowl games, rivalry bowl games, all still going to stay pure of what we've had over the last couple of years. What we are going to change, though, is the scoring system. So we put a poll out there on the GroupMe chat room after we had the discussion, and we said, do we want to do a full point PPR regardless of position, or do we want to do a full point PPR for running back and wide receiver with a tight end getting 1.5 points, so a tight end premium, which would differ than what we had this year, which was a 0.5 point perception with a tight end premium of a full point. The poll came back 11 people, 7-4 were in favor of still keeping the tight end premium. So what we are going to do for the Fanatically Real Redraft next year, we are going to do a full point PPR league. I think this will probably make Eric happy, because this is a big thing for him. Full point PPR for running back and wide receiver, and 1.5 points for the tight end. Like Damian says, we want tight end premium. We are going to go with a tight end premium. So one of the rule sets that I'll make sure that I get updated as I put the final or finishing touches on those this weekend, and we start looking forward to some of these other leagues that we're introducing in 2021. So hopefully I'll be able to take that and send it out to the masses this weekend and say, what holes do I need to fill in this rule set? Please let me know. And then I think this was – go ahead, Kev.
I was just going to say, and with that being said, we are referring to the redraft league only in this case. If there is any rule changes that want to be made to the dynasties, they can be voted on. I assume either a supermajority or a 100% for on those votes will have to be decided within the individual dynasty. Remember, they are ran separately. So what one dynasty does, you do not have to do yourself. Or if redraft does it, you do not have to. But because the dynasties are drafted where you don't change your lineups or your rosters, I should say that we are not affecting changes there because obviously you could have drafted differently based on that. But if you do like this idea and do want it in Dynasty, please let us know.
So, and you're right. And I think one of the things that I have brought out to the Dynasty group this year is, is 4 separate Dynasty leagues. If you guys want to do something different than the other ones, even Bravo did something different this year in our first year, right? One of the things that I think I am going to change across the board, and this isn't set in stone yet, so just because we're talking about rule changes right now doesn't mean that we are going to do it. People have been hollering in all of these Dynasty leagues about making sure we open trades up earlier. They wanted it to happen at the end of this season, rolling into 2021. And I didn't want to change things midstream. And I also wanted to make sure everybody got to have their voices heard when we do this. So I will be presenting it between now and the end of 2021. Are we going to open up trading earlier before we roll from 2021 to 2022? I think there would be a very overwhelming yes across all 4 leagues for that. From what we've heard from the chatter across all of them. So that is definitely a consideration. As far as changing scoring or starting lineup positions or anything like that, I think we've got a very good rule set put in place right now. I mean, we worked on it for months to get these 4 leagues where they're at right now. Damian saying, God, yes, I think he's saying that because they want to have the trading. The whole reason of bringing the dynasties in the first place was for FSA to find a way to go year-round, and we still do. We take a 3-week break, at least as far as you all know. We take a 3-week break, even though behind the scenes all of us are still working. But with dynasties, we've truly found a way to go year-round, and if we want to make it feel year-round, then we need to open up the trading earlier at the end of the 2021 season going into 2022. Now, this is going to be written in stone. We talked about the Fanatically Real redraft scoring changes with the full point PPR and 1.5 for the tight end premium. QB54 arm and leg league changes for next year. So this year, there was a lot of whole numbers, a lot of simple scoring involved, 6 for a touchdown, -3 for an interception. Your kickers were 3, 4, and 5 based on the distance of the field goal, and 1 for an extra point with no negatives for the kickers. We had ties, and we kind of forward thought that, hey, we're going to have ties with this scoring system. So the general managers needed to put a third player in every single week as a tie-breaking player. So what we're going to do is we're going to complicate a little bit, but still keep it simple. That is the whole point of the QB54 arm and leg league, is to keep it simple, to make sure that we deter or keep away from having ties very often, to the point where I'm going to take out the option of having to have the third starter or the tie-breaking player. In this case, if we end up with a tie, it will still be a tie. We're going to do decimal points for these 2 positions, a little bit different than normal, because we only give points for the touchdowns on the quarterbacks, nothing to do with yards. For every touchdown thrown by a quarterback, they will get a hundredth of a point per yard that they throw that touchdown for. So let's say they throw a touchdown for 54 yards. That touchdown is going to be worth 6.54 points. And that will be cumulative for the game, with each touchdown calculated separate into that. For the kicker side of the ball, we'll go to the same decimal system that we have in our Fanatically Real Redraft League right now, where instead of a 36-yard field goal only being worth 3 points, it will now be worth 3.6 points. And we will take negatives away from the kickers, or we will have negatives for the kickers this year. A missed extra point and a missed field goal will be -1. Unless the field goal attempted is over 50 yards, no negative points there. Same rule set that we use right now in the Fanatically Real Redraft, we're going to adopt over in the QB54. This should alleviate ties. I wonder, though, does it add a little bit more value to the quarterbacks than what we had even this year, especially with us giving negatives to the kickers? Or is that 10th of a point per yard for a kicker worth more than that 100th of a point for a quarterback for passing touchdown yards. Thoughts on that, you feel?
I think that if you take a sure kicker like a Bass or a Tucker outside of the playoffs, that is anyway, I think that those kickers will still place pretty high amongst quarterbacks. And you got to remember these are passing touchdowns only, so we're not talking about using anything rushing. So I don't think it overvalues. I think the more sure passing quarterbacks aren't usually as high pointed anyway. If I'm looking at the cumulative of the quarterbacks that are out there, so I don't think it changes it too much to put the value there.
Ross says something else for us to consider before we put the final stamp on the QB54 Almond Leg League rules for the year. Pick sixes thrown should be a bigger penalty. Ross, do you know off the top of your head, or if Bob Reddick is out there with us tonight, will MFL allow us to use that as a scoring category? And I am not opposed to that at all. It's actually not a bad idea. So I will dig, now that you've put that thought in my brain, I will dig to see if my fantasy league will allow that as a scoring option. Josh, what do you think about those slight changes to the scoring for the QB54 league?
I like it pretty much just because of what you said, just because it eliminates any ties. And then just from what Kevin said, where it's not really going to make much of a difference of what type of quarterback you pick or like what kicker you pick. Unless it's Justin Tucker in the playoffs, because then that's a no-go.
That was it for the rule changes for 2021. We'll probably continue to do this in our next couple of weeks because, we are going to do our broadcast all the way up to 10 February. So we've got 2 more broadcasts to go. We'll do one next Wednesday on the Fanatically Real broadcast, and we'll do another one on the 10th of February, which will be our final show of the year. That'll be the Wednesday after the Super Bowl. We're here in just a second. We're going to get into our round 4 of our ADP. But before we do, I wanted to thank a couple of additional people outside our normal sponsor. Thank you for the year. I wanted to make sure that I thanked Shell and Mel's Boutique for sponsoring a bowl game with us this year. We don't have their logo built into our final screen for the year, and I want to make sure that even though you don't see that logo, that we put a special thanks out to them, and they put that terrific soap basket together for Ted Howard and had that delivered to him. So thank you to Shell and Mel. To Barbara's Door, Decor, and More. You see the FSA sign here over my shoulder over the last couple weeks. She put that built this for me. So make sure you go out on Facebook and look for Barbara's Door, Decor, and More. And then finally go out and check out Gold Star Holsters. I don't know how well this is going to show up on the internet tonight, but this is a nightlight. It is a 3D printed nightlight by Gold Star Holsters with the FSA crest on it. It looks amazing lit up, and I would have to cut the lights for you all to see it, but I wanted you to see the actual print job it's done in 3D printing. Gold Star Holsters, go out and check them out. If you would like to have a nightlight done with one of your FSA logos on it, whether it's the Redraft or the Dynasty, let me know, and I'll put it together for you and have it shipped off. I'm pretty sure you probably want one, Josh. I figured you would.
So pretty much I still have Christmas nightlights up in my house. So I am in need of 2 nightlights for the house because I'm scared of the dark. I believe that
100%. So anybody that's out there listening tonight, let us know. And then I'm actually going to try to work with Gold Star. They don't know this yet. And actually, this is the first you guys are hearing of it as well. I'm going to try to see if I can't get them to be our AIT sponsor this year. See if they will provide a present or a gift for our champion of the AIT. I'll see if I can talk to the 2 of them and see if they have any interest in doing that, and then get a nightlight with their logo on it where it comes down to the end of the year. All right. ADP round 4. Kevin, you got the names in front of you?
Yes, I do. And go ahead.
Real quick. I just want to see if people can see that.
Oh yeah, there you go. That looks pretty good. That is lit up at night. What amazes me is when you look at that, And I don't know if it's because we've trained our eyes to see it for so long, right? And we see the light blues, the dark blues, and the grays in it. But it's nothing but white, right? It's just a white plastic that's there that puts this thing together. But literally, when it is lit up, it looks like you can see the blues and the grays in this thing. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know if that's a thing or if it's just our eyes are trained to see the colors because we've seen it so often.
I don't think it's a thing. But...
You don't think it's a thing? Maybe it's just my eyes. It could just be an old man thing. Ross Norris, world famous Ross Norris. Have a good night, brother. All right, ADP round 4. Who do you got at the 401, Kev?
401, Chris Carson. And for those that live under a rock, I want to preface this as you guys stew on that pick. What we're going to do here is these picks that we're going over for the 4th round is the average draft position, or ADP, for last year's redraft across all 6 regions combined. And we're going to go higher or lower and give our opinions on the 2021 draft on where these players will fall. If they move up, stay relatively the same, or go down, and why, amongst the 3 of us. Josh, Chris Carson.
401. I'm gonna say he drops. Not too far though. Not too far. Probably later in the 4th round. I think that's all I'm gonna give him. There's still a bunch of names that we haven't really brought up. That potentially I would go for before I went for him. And I mean, 16th on the year out of all running backs, so not too bad.
Really?
Yeah,
that surprises me.
That's with missing 4 games. I'm gonna say he drops a little bit.
I'm surprised that he only missed 4. I thought he was injured for most of the year, so the games that he was on the field for must have had pretty quiet. The fact that he finished as high as he did really surprises me. I don't know if he would get draft value based on what he's done in previous years, or people still hoping and holding out for hope that he's finally going to have that year. Like, this could be his year. I see him dropping. I could see him even dropping out of the 4th, possibly because people forgot that I don't know, a guy like me is going to drop him because I didn't think he only missed 4 games. I thought it was more than that. Where he falls to, I don't know. I mean, Josh is pretty confident that he would still stay in the 4th and just drop further in. So
I mean, he's got a decent average. Let me see where he falls at as far as average. So he's 13th overall for average with 16.48.
Which puts him just outside of RB1 at an average standpoint.
And Brian Lewis has a very good point, Kevin, before you come up. Says he's a free agent. He might not be back in Seattle. Very good point. Does that do anything to his value depending on where he ends up? And do we say it's dependent on where he ends up if he goes up or down?
I think it's hard to kind of gauge where he's going to be drafted at if he is on a different team, because we don't know what team he's going to end up on. He could end up in the family that the Chiefs have or Tampa Bay has, or he could end up on a team that, like the Jets, where they kind of need a running back.
I'm going to say that he probably won't stay 100% healthy. This is the 2nd season in a row that he's had hopes and dreams of big seasons, but both injury riddled. But as you mentioned, when he is on the field, he does play well and plays like a top back in the league. So I think that he does. I'm going to agree with Josh. I think he drops, but not far.
Okay.
Possibly out of the 4th, just because when you get into the 4th, you're not really looking running back much anymore. That's probably where your runs start on other positions, as we will go over.
Yep.
But outside of that, right around there.
So I also would like to mention that as I'm looking at the averages here, 2 people that are ahead of him. Number 1 is Christian McCaffrey, somebody who only played 3 games, but those 3 games that he played, he did excellent in them.
Over 20 points per game.
He had 30.96 average.
Jesus.
So, and then also at number 5, you have a man by the name of Antonio Williams, who plays for Buffalo, who played 1 game, which was week 17, and got a 23.3. So his average is 23.3.
That doesn't count. You can't get that. You got to do minimum of so many games before
exactly. So because of those 2 picks, honestly, you could bump Chris Carson up to number 11 for averages.
I think maybe your argument of further down in the 4th, but not out of the 4th, is probably pretty viable.
It's just if he can stay healthy and if he's in Seattle next year.
2 very good points.
Yes.
402. Odell, I catch with one hand, Beckham.
You know, I lost a playoff game to him in FSA the year that he caught that. And because you all know I'm deep into running leagues, I might not know my players the best, right? That's why I have fun doing this with you guys. I heard about the catch, didn't see it. Saw the catch a little bit later after my dad had called me. Did you see that catch by Odell Beckham Jr.? And I go, who is that? Like at that point, I had never heard of this guy before, right? And I'm losing playoff games to this guy. He can be taken in the 16th round for all I care.
That's the catch that broke the internet.
Yes, I know. I will never be a fan of Odell Beckham Jr. I say he drops. Various reasons for why he drops. Maybe not all the way to the 16th. That'd be ridiculous. But I think he drops in 2021.
I think he stays right around the same. I think name recognition, coming off of an injury, can still be a true number 1 there.
Oh my God!
I think that people are going to hang on him and leave him there just because he has the potential, and they're never going to get rid of him. Same with David Johnson. Why people kept hanging on him years after his big season. I think just the name there alone will keep him at least in the 4th.
Well, just like we talked last night about Evans and Godwin being so close, I know Josh is looking at him right now. Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry were pretty close, right? And where they finished for the year?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's because Odell was injured. So,
and Damian chimes in and agrees. Namesake alone sticks Odell in the 4th.
So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna agree with both of you because of the name. He sticks. I mean, if you draft him in the 4th round, good for you. And I'm sorry for your loss because, 12.1 average. And 12.1 average, he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. And 2 of those games, he got over 12 points. I can't trust him being alongside Jarvis Landry and then the other receivers that stepped up, David Njoku, and then the running backs that they have. I can't get behind it. No.
Well, Kev, you said last night, I think, that a guy that's around 12 points is a flex for you. A guy that's consistent 12 is flex for you, but a guy that's consistent 15 is a starter for you. So is a flex worthy of a 4th round pick?
Well, I think that if you're teetering there, right, if your flex spot is going to be, because the way I look at it, wide receiver 1s is usually over that 20-point average. Wide receiver 2 is that 15 range, and then your flex spot is 10 to 12, depending where you're at, right? That's why usually our tight ends don't get any more recognition than what they are, because they're in that 10 range. You don't see many of them duplicated on a team. For me, if you're at that 12 and you're Odell and missed 4 or 5 games, I still can keep you there because I know that potential to still hit your mark and be in that upper 1-2 range is still there. So for me, it wouldn't change my opinion.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, if you're considering a wide receiver 1 on your team to be 20 plus, good luck because there's only 2.
What happens when we change the scoring for next year?
Well, that number goes up, obviously.
Yeah.
For one of them, yes. For the other one, not so much because he's more of a big boom play kind of guy. One of them's Devonte Adams, which he has 115 catches on the year, so that's going up.
Yeah,
and then the other one is Tyreek Hill, which he only had 87 catches on the year, so it'll go up.
Say that, but that's 43.5 points more next year than what he had this year, based on a full point PPR versus the half point PPR.
So Devonte Adams, 115 catches.
I can't do the math right now. Is that 57.5 extra points?
Yeah.
7.5 extra points.
So, yeah, that would put Devonte Adams close to 400 points on the year.
Okay. Now, what does that put him in relation to quarterbacks? Does Devonte Adams leap over any quarterbacks?
I believe there was only a few players that were over 400.
There was 6 quarterbacks over 400, which is Rodgers, Allen, Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson just cleared 400. And then Brady is sitting on the outside below 400 by an eighth of a point.
So what did we say? 57.5 more points for him. So while you're looking at the quarterbacks, minus that by 57.5 points, that puts him around the 350 point range. How far does that drop him on that quarterback list?
Wait, are we talking about without the 57 points?
Yes, without, where he would normally have fallen this year. How far does he fall?
330. So 337. That puts him at number 12.
And he was where before? Number 7? With points.
With the points, I would probably put him at number 8 behind Brady.
Okay.
I don't know the exact amount, what it would be if you added on 57.
Okay. Kevin, you kind of, I'm only trying to defend your argument that you spent 2 hours talking to me about the other week. So I just want to see how viable that was.
Basically, I would consider a wide receiver 1 if you can get somebody. Let me look at the averages here. If you can get somebody maybe 15 or higher. If you can get 15 or higher,
that could be a 1.
Yeah, because so if you go 15 or higher, you have 16 wide receivers here.
Okay.
With Chris Godwin just making the cut.
I think that it all depends on really your draft strategy, because I tend to be a wide receiver in the first round type person. So I'm usually aiming for the first or second guy. So I'm almost always looking for that 20 point, but that's just me personally. I could see the 15 range being feasible.
Yeah.
What number are we at now? 4-0.
We would be at 403, Mark Andrews.
I mean, outside of the only 2, maybe 3 tight ends that did anything this year, even with the 1.5 point tight end premium for next year, I see Mark Andrews dropping. Just did not have the year we all thought he was going to have.
Okay, so how about this? Mark Andrews is 403. Zach Ertz is 404. I see them both.
Is Ertz even going to be on the Eagles next year?
He's still contracted with them. He's not a free agent. I think this is his last year.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because I remember he posted a video of him like in tears saying that like it was either potentially or it was his last game with Philly, something like that. I see them both dropping.
Maybe it was an option year. I will tell you in a half a second, though.
I do remember seeing that same thing that Josh is talking about.
Yeah, I see a couple other options. I mean, you have Logan Thomas, if they can get a reliable quarterback, TJ Hawkinson, Robert Tonyan, Mike Gesicki, maybe even Noah Fant if they can fix their quarterback problems.
I can see every single one of those names you just mentioned going around both of them, yeah. I mean, and even, okay, so let's say Ertz goes somewhere else, right? I guess that's a landing spot for him. I've always been a big fan of Dallas Goedert there anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I was even drafting him before Zach Ertz in some of my drafts this year.
And I think Philly is even higher on Goddard because ever since Ertz started complaining about money, like I want money, he hasn't been doing anything.
Oh.
Plus, it's still riddled with injuries. Missed time again this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if we look at
I don't think Dallas Goedert escaped the injury bug this year though either. So
no one in Philly did, and
so
they're
Zachert missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games after he came back from that 6 games 6 weeks if you consider the bye week because that was in there. After he came back from injury, 6.1, 2.8, 9.9, 6.8, 5.1. That is not a
that's all Zach Ertz numbers.
Yeah, those are his numbers after he came back from the injury. His highest game was 16 points.
okay. So if I'm looking at the free agents for this year at the tight end position, you're talking about Hunter Henry, Rob Gronkowski, Jared Cook, Vance McDonald announced retirement. Then you have Tyler Croft, Tyler Eifert, Jason Witten just retired. Mercedes Lewis is still in the league.
He did really well in the NFC Championship the other day. I mean, I know it's still at a losing effort, but when I saw him catch the ball for the first time, I forgot he was even still in the league.
Yeah, I don't see Ertz on here. So then you have Wally Cox.
Damian says in a tight end premium league, Mark Andrews should be still be the Ravens' #1 wide receiver. True.
They're just not
if you're
using the
looking at
receivers.
an NFL team, but it doesn't help much in where you draft him in fantasy, I don't think. I think all those names that Josh gave us a little bit ago all will be drafted higher than Mark Andrews, especially based on this year's performance.
And I will say, even if Zach Ertz stays in Philly, I mean,
those points don't prove that he's any better than Mark Andrews.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, so I personally see both of them dropping out of the positions that they're at. And speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, 405, Carson Wentz.
Way down. Way down.
Probably the biggest disappointment at quarterback this year, no?
I would, outside of injuries, yeah. So let me ask this question. Instead of worrying about just where he's going to drop to, is he still a top 12? Is he a starter for you in fantasy?
No. Super flex, yes. Starter, no.
Where's
as
Mr.
long
Wentz?
as you're talking about, if we move to 10-10s, you're right. You're talking about the top 20 quarterbacks if you are considering a super flex. So is he in the 11 to 20 range for you? Josh is shaking his head no.
Okay, so stat-wise, no. Stat-wise, he's 23 on the year.
But he also didn't finish the year.
He missed 4 games. Who is ahead of him?
I think people aren't going to draft him because they don't know what the quarterback situation is looking like in Philly if they both stay, right? So are they going to flip flop? I don't think we're going to quite see a Drew Brees, Taysom Hill type thing, where it's come in and exit out of the game inside the same game. Are they going to flip flop them from game to game based on what's going on? And I think that scares people. That's why he's not even – he is rostered, but he's not your #1 and maybe not even your super flex. He is your buy-in fill-in, bye-week fill-in.
Yeah, your matchup contingent ad when they play the Jets. Cough, cough.
Gosh. Oh, can we skip to whatever the next pick is, please?
The next pick is Cooper Kupp at 406.
So there's a lot of talk about whether Goff is still going to be there, right?
Oh,
yeah, so reports have come out. 2 reports that I've seen. Their GM says that Goff is their starter, and he is there. And then other reports come out and say that they are going to have an off-season quarterback competition.
Thank you for stealing my thunder. Yeah, so it is. Yeah, it's confirmed that they're having basically a QB competition over the offseason between him and
who?
John Wolford. Their backup, pretty much.
So what we're saying is they need to get another quarterback in there before they have a quarterback competition.
Yes.
I mean, I guess they liked what they saw when Wolford started.
Great. So you got your 1-game opportunity. Good for you, guy.
Well, it's like the guy from Washington, Heineke. He did fairly well. Played with an injury and all that stuff.
He looked good when he played.
He did. I do hope they bring him back. I hope they bring him back this year. And
do they bring back Alex Smith?
Whether they bring back Heineke or not, Alex Smith, please, for the love of everything, your health and your family, retire, dude. Please. Yeah. You did amazing things this year. We're all happy to see it. You know, we all cheered you on. Very, very fortunate to see you go back onto the field. Name the award after him for Comeback Player of the Year and retire.
If they do, I want royalties. We started that.
I'm pretty sure we didn't, but okay.
We did.
Okay.
Average Rose Award ceremony. Go check it out. I don't know what episode it was, but I mean,
for me, I would drop Cup just because of the options there.
I'm gonna drop him. He didn't even really have a great year.
He never really has. He's just been consistent.
Yeah.
So I think that guys like Cup usually fall in the 4th if you have already grabbed a guy like your Hopkins and Adams, and if you're looking for your next stud that you don't really have to replace because you know he's going to be in there and play consistent.
I'm okay taking points every week. He might be a 10 or 11 or 12 point guy, and it's almost like lock it in kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next we have Aaron Rodgers, runner up to the MVP at 407.
Is he still going to be in Green Bay?
I don't think that's really in question anymore. I'm pretty sure he's a Green Bay quarterback next year, right? Or the Green Bay quarterback next year.
Yeah.
I think we've said this a couple of times, you know, when we talked about Patty Mahomes and Josh Allen and where do those two fall, and we say Rodgers falls in between the two of them, right? So I think he jumps up. He is a first round pick next year, or he is your quarterback at the churn at 201.
Yeah.
I don't think he goes in the first round, but I think he jumps to higher than where he's at.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I'm looking at guys that are taken in the first round, Mahomes, Allen, Murray, depending on where Watson goes, could still finish that high because he was your passing yard leader and has legs. So I think those guys can still finish ahead of Rodgers. Well, let's face it, the age is there. So people talk about it every year with your Brees and your Bradys and those guys. You know, you're already talking about right now switching out to Love, who they drafted. So
vomit.
Does that come in your mind?
Vomit emoji.
So yeah, I'm gonna say he goes up a lot. Like I'm gonna agree and say that he goes possibly second round, just because he had the best year out of anybody there.
Damien says, would we go Cup or Woods? For me, it's Woods all day. I think that's probably biased, though, because I've grabbed him quite a few times in different leagues over the last couple of years. I've never really had Cup, so I don't watch him as close to know, you know, but for me, it would be Woods.
For me, the question would be more of starter or fill-in. If I'm looking for a starter, I'm looking at Cup because he's more consistent. If I'm looking for a fill-in off the waiver wire, I'm looking at Woods because I know that he has the bigger boom game.
Okay.
I'll go with Woods regardless. Just because I like wide receiver twos. Cooper Kupp to every other team is their number one. So that's who they're going to put their strongest defender on or their cornerback on.
Yeah, but he's so sure-handed and gets a lot of the short receptions that rack up in a PPR. So
actually, I was about to say, let me see.
Yeah, and you know what? A good argument that comes out of Eric every time we talk about the difference between a half-point PPR and a full-point PPR. Amendola and Kupp are two guys that I think he likes to mention often. So yeah, I can see that. At least I remember him saying Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, 9 touchdowns, or I'm sorry, not 9 touchdowns, 92 receptions.
So that's another 46 points for him.
46 points. Where's he at? That would put him over it would put him about like 220 something. 220 something. He goes from 28 to about where Woods is right now at 13, 14-ish.
Yeah, but then we got to add those half point there, the other half points to Woods as well.
Yeah, and Woods would get about the same amount because he had 90 receptions and more touchdowns.
Okay.
So
I don't think Damien liked your runner-up comment to the Aaron Rodgers runner-up to the MVP there, Kev.
Well, on his list that he gave me here, my stat guy wrote down MVP next to Rodgers' name, so I made sure that I put that in there.
Where are we at right now?
Next on our list, we probably have the most coveted free agent at the wide receiver position, Allen Robinson. At 408.
I love Allen Robinson. I think it's landing spot dependent. I do believe he's going to end up with a better team after leaving Chicago. True talents are going to shine through. I think he goes up, and I think team dependent, he could go way up. I think he could skip all the way up into the third round based on where he lands. Again, it's like me with Woods. I've had Allen Robinson on quite a few of my teams, so I'm a little bit partial to him. But yeah, if he goes, and Damien says if he goes to Green Bay, in that case, without a doubt, Aaron Rodgers is my number 2, and without a doubt, Allen Robinson is in the third round.
Now, how about this? In my dream world, Deshaun Watson and Robinson both are Patriots.
I want to again puke emoji.
I'm going to emphasize. I'm going to emphasize in your dreams.
Well, you gotta remember.
Most people would call those nightmares.
You gotta remember out the gate. Watson's not going to cost you money. He's going to cost you picks, which the Patriots have to give.
I know Patriots. They don't care about their picks, and they have a buku amount of cap space.
Yeah, based on what I'm looking at right now, if you tie in dead cap, I believe the Patriots have since moved to number 1 in open cap space. They were 3.
Okay. But what is your we won't post that on the screen, but Damien, I promise you we're reading it. The running game's still a suspect. They don't have Watson and Robinson go there. Great. That's the only thing the Patriots have on their team. Granted, yeah, you're gonna give me the deep dive because you know everybody's name on that team. Right. Who else do the Patriots have once you get those two players on the team?
Edelman.
Puke emoji.
Lewis.
Puke emoji.
Damian Harris.
And Keel Harry.
Michelle.
I will say though, actually getting Robinson would probably be the best thing the Patriots could do for Edelman, because Edelman is a true number 2 to slot guy. And I think his stock would go up a little bit. Obviously, you would have to see how they did in the season for it to go up. But I think that for Edelman, it'll be good. It'll make him worth something.
Damien asked, would Allen Robinson going to Green Bay affect Adams' value for you? No. I still think that Devonte Adams is the number 1 wide receiver taken, because when you're looking at an Allen Robinson, he's going to be a number 1 to somebody somewhere, even on Green. I don't know. Maybe not them.
Does it hurt Robinson's value? Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but hurt him? No, because he's still going to put up better numbers than when he was in Chicago. Still.
I mean,
that's a very good question. Devontae's still the number 1 wide receiver taken.
I think it hurts his value, and regardless if Robinson goes there, he's not my number 1 receiver. So leave it at that.
Unless he goes to New England, then he is your number 1 receiver.
No, he's talking about Adams.
Oh.
I don't think I personally, if I take my pick at receivers, he's not my number one. So
That's a tough one. You know what? I'm going to go to sleep tonight thinking about that one. Thank you for that. Appreciate it, Damien.
Well, since I don't have MT to fall on for receptions, I mean, I think that's the next best pick, or either him or Diggs.
Yeah, I would think.
I guess you guys don't remember Hopkins is still in the league.
I am not a fan of Kyler Murray. When I hear you say just a little bit ago that you think Kyler Murray is in that top 3 or 4 area for quarterbacks, I still don't see it. I see Kyler Murray barely at the end of a 10-team starting quarterback spot.
Where did he fall? If you're looking at just quarterbacks, Josh, where did he fall this year?
Who, Murray?
Yeah. I think he's still top 5, right?
Number 4.
That's what I thought.
In front of Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Kevin's very own Mr. Tom Brady, and Lamar as well. Let me just put that out there.
Other than Tom, because of the age for next year, because age has got to catch up with this guy at some point. He's found the fountain of youth somewhere. This is why he went to Florida. I would even put Kyler Murray behind all of those guys mentioned except for Tom Brady. Tom Brady's still behind Kyler Murray. And this has nothing to do with dynasty. This is still redraft in my eyes. I'm just not a fan of Kyler Murray, never have been.
All right, rapid fire here as we get close to the bell. 409 Juju.
Drops.
Yeah.
Drops heavy for me.
Yeah, he dropped.
Yeah, I think, and you know what? It's not just from his playing on the field. He's got a bad attitude, and I don't like that.
Oh, yeah.
Juju's former teammate and Super Bowl player, if you will, this upcoming year in 2 weeks, Le'Veon Bell.
Drops. Especially if he stays in Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. Drops.
You never know who's getting the ball there.
Yeah, you have to remember that this was, at the time of the draft, he was the bell cow at the Jets. So
Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Switching teams, losing his role, drops for me as well. Next at 411, James Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, you mean?
Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan. He changed his name.
Is it Damien's bad handwriting again?
No, it's just a J, so I guessed.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm going to say up.
Jonathan Taylor becomes an RB1 next year.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he already was. Not only for drafting purposes.
Not only is he an RB1, he's in the first round for me. I take him over Zeke.
I
think Zeke falls out. I think he moves in.
If Zeke gets his lover back, I'll take Zeke. If Zeke gets Dak back, I'll take Zeke. But I don't see Taylor going first round. I'm sorry. I love the guy. He did fantastic. But I could see him going in the second round.
Now, see, for me, it becomes a Tennessee type offense there. Who are your receivers? No one all too great.
I was going to say, because T.Y., you said he's a free agent this year anyway, so he might not even be there.
Yeah, no one all too great. Then you have to throw in a new quarterback because Rivers is retired.
Unless they keep Brissett and bring him back.
Right, but Taylor didn't play with Brissett, so there's not like chemistry.
We talked about Detroit Lions wide receivers all pretty much, or at least who was coming out from Detroit that's a free agent right now, the wide receiver wise?
Galladay.
Okay, so let's say Stafford and Galladay both go to Indy.
Fine by me. You had who's the Lions running backs? Swift did really well.
Yeah.
And who's always there and hurt? Kerryon Johnson did really well unhealthy.
Yeah.
Carry on my wayward son, right to Taylor being number one.
So I liked Taylor coming out of college way better than J.K. Dobbins. I think Wisconsin has always produced a better running back than Ohio State, even though they do produce good running backs out of Ohio State as well. Just watching both of them as a Big Ten fan running before they both came out, I thought Jonathan Taylor was going to be the better one. I think J.K. Dobbins got started a whole lot sooner than Jonathan Taylor did, which made me think I was going to eat my words. But yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor. Now, when we look across a list of what we've looked at for the top 3 rounds so far in the 4th round, number of running backs taken already, where was Jonathan Taylor in that list? How many running backs were taken total?
Running backs taken above Taylor, 1, 2 in this round. 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Oh, without a doubt. And he finished 3rd?
5th.
5th. Okay. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he's definitely, I don't know first round, but he is definitely inside the RB1 numbers, whether that is an 8, 10, or a 12-team league. He is a number 1 guy on either size of any size of those leagues.
Yeah, he's number 1. I just don't see him going in the first round, but yeah, he definitely rises up. I can understand where he went this year because he was a rookie. You didn't know what he was going to do in the NFL, but yeah, he's going up.
All right,
and then to round it out, you have DJ, David Johnson.
I don't know why anybody drafted him where they did. Why he was that high.
New team.
I think it would be new team and just name recognition because he was a first rounder when he was with Arizona, and he could stay healthy.
I say he drops.
I say he drops. I say he's not drafted.
Oh wow!
Next year.
You know,
I mean, what have you really done?
I have a sour taste in my mouth on it because I had a string of years where I had the number 1 pick, and one of those years I took him as my number 1 overall pick, which was also the game that he got injured. I think it was the thumb in the very first game of the year, and then did not come back. Kind of like a Christian McCaffrey for me this year. I can't win with my number 1 pick.
So I'm gonna say he kind of stays the same. He had some off games, but I mean, like, so the last 3 games of the year, 21.3, 30.4, 23, opened up the season with a 21.9. So, I mean, he's had RB1 numbers. I mean, rest of the season, they've been pretty RB2, maybe flex-esque numbers. But, I mean, overall, when he has played, he hasn't been too terrible. He's had 2 games under 10 points.
Then why did Deshaun Watson have as many yards passing as he did? How can they have both produced that well and for them to not even make the playoffs?
So, and that's the other thing is where is his production going to be with the new quarterback?
He had 147 attempts and 33 receptions compared to like a Derrick Henry with 378 attempts. Jeez.
200 more attempts.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. So, David Johnson, 147 attempts, 33 receptions. Alvin Kamara, 187 attempts, so not too far ahead of him. But Alvin Kamara had 83 receptions, and Alvin Kamara was your running back leader as far as fantasy points, and missing 1 game. And with a full PPR, his stock goes up.
I say I say he's drafted, Kev. I can't say you're going to say this guy is undrafted, but I do believe that he drops quite a bit.
I think that if he's drafted, it's late round filler. I don't think it's anybody that you're targeting to actually be in your starter. I think he's a bench spot guy. I think that he could quite possibly go undrafted. I think I would look at who was Jacksonville's running back.
James Robinson.
I'm looking at the Chargers running backs, all of them.
Eckler.
I'm looking at I'm looking at the Rams running back.
Cam Akers. Okay, I can understand that. I don't know about the Chargers running backs because they're kind of in the same predicament where, got to stay healthy. But I can understand James Robinson. I can understand Cam Akers because they all actually did fairly well this year for being rookies. But I would say if he was to drop, it wouldn't be too far. But I would still pick him up as maybe a flex to maybe second running back, depending on who's there.
If I was going with a no running back strategy, he would be a guy that would be on my team as a no running back strategy. So
usually you go for no tight end strategies. So
ha 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 ha! Shut your face.
Who's next?
That was it. That's the end.
That's it.
The fourth round for us.
No, I want more.
So I do have a question. Since the next segment of the show we're going to talk about is what of our next broadcast look like. The Empty Wagon guys are going to take this week off. We will have, I don't know if we'll do happy hour this week. And the reason I say that is because I don't know what the Pro Bowl celebration is going to look like. I'll still celebrate whether there's something going on or not. So there's probably still going to be a happy hour, even if I'm not online. So maybe no happy hour. We'll hit everybody up in the chat group if we're going to do it or not. Then we have another whole week before we get to the Super Bowl. You guys will be back next Tuesday? Yeah?
I want some round 5, baby.
Okay, that's what I'm going to have. You guys want to do round 5 next week?
We won't have any games to preview or look into. So we will probably get down more than one round. We'll probably get through.
If anything, we can kind of, if anything, we'll probably just talk about how the Pro Bowl, whatever they decide to do went, how any type of Madden things went. And then, if anything, I would like to get through like 2 rounds. That would be fun. Because there's still some good names that we have yet to mention.
Something in the background caught my attention. Now I know my kids have been in here recently. Hey, so I will mention it in a group email being sent out this weekend. Don't forget that we do have the end of the season survey out there right now, which is also going to have your General Manager of the Year and Rookie General Manager of the Year ballot on it. We did pick up one more Rookie General Manager of the Year survey/ballot, so we are now at 8 and 12. I will go out and remind everybody because that will end the night of the Super Bowl, and then we will take those ballots into our FSA Honor Show, which is going to be on 10 February. That's when we will announce the top scoring team of the year, General Manager of the Year, and Rookie General Manager of the Year. And then can I change my vote? Well, why don't you let's put you on the spot here, Damien. Who did you vote for Rookie General Manager of the Year, and who would you like to change it to? I would like to see this. And we'll wait. And while we're waiting, we'd like to thank all of our sponsors for the year. We already mentioned thank you to Shell and Mel for being a bowl sponsor for us this year. And thank you for the great products that we've got from Barber's Door Decor and more, and Gold Star holsters. But we would also like to thank our broadcast sponsor, Football Darts, Nature Coast Tailgating, which is our World Championship sponsor, the Recast, the official music of the FSA, E54, which is the Arm and Leg League sponsor, and then all of our bowl game sponsors, Finger Lake Mercantile, Deep South Creation, Southern Siren Sugar Scrub, Cranky Veteran Cano Company, and the already mentioned Shell and Mel's Boutique. What I see us down here doing something. You're super excited about something down there. What are we excited about? Did Damon say something?
Yes, he would did.
Like to thank Evan Godwin to Josh. Too much Brady talk for my face. I have a question. random question. Why would you even vote Kevin as Rookie of the Year anyways? Would be your first mistake. I mean, as a Damian Scott, I would rather vote for myself as Rookie of the Year versus a Kevin Godwin.
So at the end of it all, can you you'll see the total amount of votes, like who got what amount of votes?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to know how many votes I got.
You want to know right now? I mean, do you want a little sneak preview?
If you can do it now, I don't want to know who's winning. I don't want to know any of that. I just want, if you can tell me how many votes I have now.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I'm sure it's one. I'm sure it's your vote.
No, I would never vote for myself. That's just, see, Damien said it there too. I'm an honest person, and I wouldn't vote for myself. I am a semi-honest person when I want to be. But I sure as heck don't bring up Drew Brees too often.
You have no reason to.
Traquan Smith instead.
Well, that's within reason. That became that's an FSA legend now.
This is true.
Tom Brady's an FSA dud.
That's your opinion.
Well, we got to help out the little guy.
The Golden Boys do have one Rookie General Manager of the Year vote.
Oh, so somebody does believe in me.
All I can say is we need to get a couple more votes on the Rookie General Manager of the Year.
Go out and vote for the Golden Boys.
Yeah. Did I say or did I not say? God, I'm going to say this out loud now. And for the 4 people that are still listening to us, they're going to hear this. And it might have just been among this group. Did I say something along the lines of if we had a tie in the Rookie General Manager of the voting, that I was going to allow it to stay a tie, even if I was supposed to be the tiebreaker guy?
Yeah.
Yes, that you would have general
managers of the year. If you're a rookie and you're listening to this prior to me sending the email out this weekend, don't make me make that hard decision. Please go out and vote. That's all I can say now.
There's 5 people. There's 5 teams or GMs with a tie.
No, there are 5 teams that are in the running for Rookie General Manager of the Year right now.
With how many votes?
We've got a total of 12 right now across the board. So, and there is a tie currently between 2 teams. Yeah.
I bet you I can name all 5 teams. I'll do that off air, though.
Okay, yeah, please do that. Because you know what? I just happened to look over here since we can see our screens on the studio side. I'm sitting there scrolling back and forth, and then I just realized, oh, wait a minute. Can everybody else see that right now?
No,
that'd probably be bad if everybody else could see that. All right, you guys ready to wrap this up and get out of here for the night?
Yes, please.
Yep, that wraps it up for us.
All right, thank you for watching the Fanatically Real broadcast sponsored by Football, Darts, and Fantasy Sports Alliance. If you like the show, please go out, subscribe, and share this with everybody. Follow us on all of our social media, and don't forget, we are Fanatically Real. You all have a good night.